Do you really need an emergency fund? We're going to get into the honest truth right now. It's one of those pieces of financial advice that gets thrown around so much, we just take it as gospel. But what if that's standard rule? What if it's not the right rule for you? So here's a question, and it might sound a little crazy. Do you actually need an emergency fund? And I know what you're thinking. Of course you do. Every single financial guru on the planet screams yes. But you know what? The honest truth is, it's a little more complicated than that. In fact, for some people, obsessing over building this massive emergency fund could actually be a huge, costly mistake. You've heard it a million times, right? Save 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an emergency fund before you do anything else with your money. It's basically the first commandment of personal finance. And listen, I'm not saying it's bad advice. It's just not the only advice. It's not the whole story. All right, let's break this down. The 6-month rule. Is it reality, or is it just some guideline from a bygone era? Let's dig in. And well, if you look at the numbers, it gets pretty interesting. A 2024 Bankrate survey found that a whopping 73% of Americans, that's almost 3/4 of us, don't have 6 months of savings. So if you feel like you're behind, you are definitely not alone. Life is expensive, man, and for a lot of people, that goal feels totally impossible. So what does that mean? Does it mean that 75% of us are just failing at money? Or just maybe, is there more to the story? Could it be that the one-size-fits-all rule is the thing that's actually broken? I think so. And that brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. Your financial situation. It's not one-size-fits-all. Personal finance is, well, it's personal. The right answer for your neighbor might be the totally wrong answer for you. Okay, let's be super clear here. For some people, that full 6-month fund isn't just a suggestion, it's absolutely non-negotiable. If your income is all over the place, like if you're self-employed, or if you're the only one bringing in money for your household, or if your job security is kind of sketchy, yeah, you need that cushion. If you have ongoing medical stuff or you're supporting dependents, that cash is your lifeline. It's what keeps the lights on. If this sounds like you, then that's your mission. Build that fund. But what if that's not you? For a lot of people, you might need less. Let's say you're in a 2-income household and both jobs are pretty stable, or your job is super secure. You're in a field that's always hiring. Maybe you've got amazing health and disability insurance, or you have other safety nets like family who could help in a pinch. In that case, your overall risk is way lower. Maybe 3 months is plenty, and you can start using that extra cash to invest or pay down your mortgage faster. Okay, now we get to the really spicy take. You might need none. I know, it sounds like financial heresy. But for a very small group of people, a traditional cash fund is kinda obsolete. If you're already financially independent, your investments are your emergency fund. If you have a huge, untapped line of credit like a HELOC just sitting there for a true worst-case scenario, why would you let a bunch of cash just sit there losing to inflation when it could be working for you? But there's another angle to this, a really important one that gets overlooked all the time. This is the real emergency we need to talk about, the hidden cost of saving. Let's run some numbers, because this is where it gets real. Imagine you worked your tail off and saved up $20,000. Awesome. It's in a high-yield savings account, and you're earning 4% interest. That's a cool $800 a year. Nice. But on the other side of the ledger, you've got $20,000 in credit card debt, and the interest rate on that is a nasty 22%. You know what that debt is costing you? A staggering $4,400 every single year. So you do the math. You're making $800, but you're losing $4,400. Your net loss is $3,600 every single year. That's not a potential problem. That's a real active emergency happening right now. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom. And this is why this idea is so powerful. That credit card debt is a guaranteed emergency that's happening right now. Think about that. We worry about the what if of losing a job, which might never happen. But that 22% interest, that's a guaranteed fire. And it's burning your money every single day you let it. Okay, so what do you do? How do you figure out what's right for you? Forget the one-size-fits-all rule. Let's build a framework so you can find your number. I want you to really think about these 5 questions. Be brutally honest with yourself. First, how stable is your income? Rate it 1 to 10. Second, if you lost your job tomorrow, how fast could you get a new one? A week? 6 months? Third, how good is your insurance? Health, disability, all of it. Fourth, and this is the big one, Do you have any debt with an interest rate over, say, 10%? And finally, number 5, what's your personal risk tolerance? Seriously, what helps you sleep at night? Because that feeling is just as important as any spreadsheet. All right, let's wrap this up. What's the personal bottom line? What does all this actually mean for you? Look, the goal isn't to follow some arbitrary rule just to check a box. The real goal is financial security and peace of mind, but on your terms. It's about building a system that actually protects you from disaster without keeping you from making real progress on your other goals. It's finding that sweet spot for your life. So I'll leave you with one final question to think about. Is your financial plan giving you genuine peace of mind, or is it just about checking a box? Really think about it. Your situation is unique, so your plan should be too. If you're looking for more honest financial advice that cuts through the noise, make sure you subscribe.